For the great captains of industry, like the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, and the J.P. Morgans, the success of these propaganda methods opened up perspectives which came at just the right moment. Since the late 19th century, a succession of strikes, protests, and riots had been rocking the whole country.
The rise of industrial capitalism, not just in the United States, but throughout the industrializing world, caused a level of immiseration.
In the coal fields and the industrial plants, the steel mills lived little better than serfs. Unions were broken and outlawed. So it was a real battle between, let's call the masses and the oligarchs.
People who were at the top of these corporations were regarded as simply as robbing the rest of the society of the resources by accumulating profits for themselves as personal wealth.
In 1914, the situation had reached a breaking point. Rockefeller was suspected of being responsible for the massacre of 66 strikers at one of his local coal mines in Ludlow. He narrowly escaped an assassination attempt carried out by an anarchist.
The corporate sector were totally freaked out about the possibility of their world being taken over.
They saw the Creel Commission's methods as ideal solutions for putting an end to social demands. If it was possible to convince Americans to wholeheartedly back the war effort without questioning the principles of democracy, then it would clearly be possible to persuade the working classes to adhere to a system they had until then always rejected: capitalism.
After experiencing this world situation and recognizing the importance of ideas as weapons, I decided to see whether we could not apply what I had learned in the war to peacetime pursuits.
In 1919, Edward Bernays opened his first office in New York, one of the country's main seats of power. To define his role for his future clients, he styled himself as a public relations counsel.
Propaganda came to have a bad name, and so they invented other terms for it. And Edward Bernays was very clear about that. He took credit himself for coming up with the term public relations counsel in order to give what was propaganda a new lease of life by calling it something different. And that's a time-honored technique of public relations or propaganda, is if something's unpopular, just call it something else and then no one will know.
Edward Bernays was influenced by one of the most renowned American intellectuals of the day, journalist and author Walter Lippmann. This former advisor to Woodrow Wilson saw propaganda as the only true tool for controlling the crowd, a theory to which he consecrated a book which would revolutionize the principles of democratic governance: public opinion.
The responsible men, which is us, have to take charge, and we have to be protected from the trampling and the roar of the bewildered herd. And the best way, we can't do it by force, and the best way to do it is by what Lippmann called manufacture of consent, a new art in the practice of democracy.
And what he means is that skillful propaganda can, in essence, get the masses to support policies that are against their own interests.
These new specialists in public relations, most of them former members of the Creel Commission, were hired by the biggest companies of the day. Their mission? To convince public opinion that the prosperity of private enterprises would benefit the entire population. To do so, a radical change was required. Turn the citizen into a consumer. Buying should no longer be a question of necessity, but of desire.
We were going crazy as an economy, and we were building big companies, and we were trying to bring the public along to buy all the things that the products these companies were anxious to produce.
Business needed to sell itself to the people, and also to sell the idea that business, rather than socialism, will provide the good life.
Edward Bernays would become an expert on the subject. One of his first successes was a campaign carried out for the Beechnut Packing Company, a famous producer of bacon.
They wanted to be the biggest bacon maker in America. And the normal way a company would have done that was to go out and compete and say, we have a better bacon than the other competing bacon makers. Eddie Bernays said, that's not the way to do it. We want to enlarge the market for everybody.
Edward Bernays would rely on a concept which had brought success to the Creel Commission: opinion leadership. He decided to use the powerful influence of one of the most respected professions in society, doctors.
And so he went out and had a survey commissioned asking lots of doctors and other trusted people in the field of nutrition and health, what do you think? Do you think that the notion of a hearty breakfast is a useful thing? Should we be eating what he called a hearty breakfast?
The study concluded that a hearty breakfast was good for your health. Edward Bernays sent the results to 4,000 doctors across the country. Unwittingly, they would pass on to their patients a message whose purpose was purely commercial.
If you don't like bacon and you're interested in your health, as 4,000 doctors say that you better eat bacon, you'll do it.
Bacon and eggs and buttered toast. There's nothing like a good, healthy breakfast to start the day off right. And a meal like this should satisfy anyone. He'll have to learn that food has a lot to do with the way you look and the way you feel.
The American breakfast became an institution, a cultural reference that would enjoy a long and healthy life.
A breakfast without bacon and eggs, is like, I don't know, a dog without a bone.
The idea of following a trusted leader, taking advice from an authority figure, is the foundation of everything that we do in public relations.
In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked,
"What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Doctors in every
Scientific backing given by doctors became a PR tool much used by advertisers,
survey of general practitioners, surgeons,
going as far as promoting the cigarette as a product for health and well-being.
yourself. The cigarette so many doctors enjoy.